There's a version of you that you've been living as. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you move through everything. It feels familiar, consistent, so it must be you. But that assumption is where everything begins.
Because most of what feels like you was never chosen. It was learned, picked up slowly, through what was rewarded, what was expected, what kept things working. And over time, it became automatic. You adjusted, not all at once, in small ways. You agreed when it was easier, stayed quiet when it felt safer, shifted how you acted depending on where you were. And eventually, those adjustments stopped feeling like adjustments. They just felt natural, like identity.
One of the earliest philosophical ideas suggests what you repeat often enough becomes what you believe you are. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And familiarity creates certainty.
So you keep moving through life, thinking you know yourself. But what you know is what you've repeated, what you've reinforced, what you've never stepped outside of long enough to actually see.
And every now and then, something doesn't fully align. A moment that feels off. A reaction that feels too strong. A sense that something isn't quite right. It's subtle, easy to ignore.
So you move past it, stay focused, stay on track, keep everything going. But it doesn't disappear, it returns, quietly, again and again. Because that feeling isn't confusion, it's contrast. A difference between what you're living as and something else that hasn't changed.
Another early teaching points to this directly. What you are is not what you have been conditioned to believe.
But most people never experience that difference, because they never stop long enough to see it. They stay inside the pattern, inside the reactions, inside the repetition. And as long as you stay inside it, it feels like reality.
Like there's nothing else there. But there is a moment where that starts to shift. Not through effort, not through force, just through noticing.
The next time something happens and you react instantly, pause, just slightly, not to change it, not to control it, just to see it.
Because in that moment, you start to notice something. There's the reaction, and then there's something observing it. Quiet, uninvolved.
Not rushing to respond. And that part doesn't feel the same. It doesn't react the same. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just sees.
Most people pass over that instantly because it doesn't demand attention. It doesn't interrupt anything. It just exists quietly in the background.
But if you stay there, even for a moment longer than usual, you start to recognize something. You've been identifying with the reaction, with the pattern, with the repeated version of yourself. But that's not the only thing there. And the moment you see that, even slightly, something changes.
Not in what you do, not in how things look, but in how you understand it. Because now, you're no longer completely inside it. And once that happens, you don't go back to seeing it the same way.
You start to notice the pattern, the repetition, the automatic responses. And more importantly, you start to notice what isn't part of that. Something quieter, something that doesn't need to be built, something that was never shaped by everything else.
And that's the part most people never stay with long enough to recognize. Because it doesn't stand out. It doesn't compete. It doesn't demand to be seen. It's just there, waiting for you to stop long enough to actually notice it.